Headset working? Welcome to the channel, guys. This is Reliable Rudy. Let me get everything set up and then we will break down what we got going for you today. Before we go into any trading, any analysis, you guys know I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Just sharing my opinion in the analysis and trying to give you guys some entertainment, give you guys some live trades, and go from there. So a little bit of a gap down in terms of market. I'm not quite sure if there's anything correlating with that. But we are in UCAR. We still had the original entry. We had a small piece that we held into the close. We thought that we had a nice trend line. Now we actually had a stop in. We seen it wick down to this area. I believe it was 85. So we had a stop loss in yesterday. And UCAR, with the remaining position that we had left, was able to hold, kind of building this sort of trend line. And I was just looking at my top gainers, and it went from actually a red to green, gaps down and pushes through that sort of neckline. We were on the ask at 78s here, and this wick never came into those 78s, but we got, I mean, I can go pull up the book here and see what we got. We got multiple fills on the upside. So let's see. Okay, so we hit our first entry off of a 793. We trimmed off of 822s, and we got a partial reload off of 791, and then we got a 782 fill, and we were on that ask at 80 or at 78. It just never pulled back in the middle of this green candle. I was looking for some sort of retest of that neckline, give or take. And then we got, this is where the trims to the upside started. We started at 826, 830, 835, 852. And then we had an order off of 870 that we were trying to get. We were respecting these tops at the 875 right here. So we were trying to get just right in front of that. And it almost wicked us up to that area. We never got the fill. But that was for an 870. And then we reloaded at 807. So the pullback in the middle of this green candle, we kept trying, and we seen this gap right here, so we expected some sort of partial rejection off the beginning. And then the first trim off of that reload was at 835 and 841. An 835 stop. I thought I would just put a stop in around that area in case it wants to come back in to 8. And then we got an 850 and 855. So quite a few transactions on the name. It's been a fun morning on this, but I can't say that about my Soundhound. We are still giving this a stop down to, and we might have got, nope, we didn't get stopped out yet, but we got a 370 in. I really just don't want to hold the position. We tried the reload off of this trend line, so we tried 87s. So my 87s are out of the money, and we still have some in the money. We got a 68, and it doesn't even show the price going down to 68 yesterday. But now that we're down below this trend line, I just don't know if there's going to be anything worth it there. And then we have a small piece in for open, which I would expect to eventually stop us out. Trying to hold these threes, but we tried it. We called it out on live stream yesterday that, hey, filled the gap, wicks up for it. And now we got wicks into these previous highs. We were on the tape all the ways out through this green move, every single penny, and including 26, 28, 29, and 30s, and just never got those fills at the end of the day. And we did try and hit a reload. Our order came in at 7s. So, I mean, is it going to end up stopping us out or not? I'm not sure. So UCAR, we are going to try and continue playing this position. If this wants to pull back into like this wick top at 92s, or I'm sure somewhere in these 8s, if we go to a 5-minute chart, you can see this is sort of the flat top that we're going to want to see hold. So 808, anywhere as close to 8 as we can get. That's what we're going to be looking for. But it still has never really held above that gap, really. So I mean, uh, we like how we've played the position so far today. It's just how is this going to act? As in, here was your initial movie gap down, and it's trying to hold this support. Um, so yeah, an interesting play. And you know what's funny? I seen an article that was a couple days late on Intel, and it said shares plummet on the something something about a manufacturer that they're building. Which anytime you're talking about that, you're talking about increased capex. So it's worth keeping note of that. But I mean, the day that it was released was actually on either this day or this day. I don't remember. Well, it was like shares plummet, and it's just like, okay, got a pretty solidified ascending channel. Yet news coming in a day after we've been talking about the top end of this channel, and I mean, yeah, I don't think you would have seen this article when we had this descending channel here. We break through and we retest of the highs, or maybe you would have, and people would have gotten scared. And it's just like, man, this is a pretty good chart. Got good strength. Still haven't even got down to these lows yet, or this high. Is actually wicking into it a couple times. And then SQQ is one of the other names. We've talked about the SQQ. We just think that it's a little bit weak still, but you did get a gap up. So if this kind of retraced back down, is there some sort of levels that we can determine? Let's start with 70s. And maybe there's some sort of a trend line that is usable. So the wick low on this candle currently 816. We are going to try and get a reload, but we're on the ask at 70s. We like that this candle, 2 minutes left, has now turned green, but it's going to fight right around here. This is what we want to see it close above, is that gap. So if it can't close above that gap, we're expecting some sort of pullback, but can it reclaim that later in the day? NRG is another one. We talked about the news that they had, and we really just wanted it to pull back into this flat top again. Well, I may have just been a touch greedy with NRG, but they had the news catalyst that, I hold a little bit more weight to. When you're talking about buybacks, that's music to my ears. ASTS, beautiful move on this name. And we've talked about this trend line for like the last month. Boom, 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 boom. And I haven't even really been playing it. So I mean, it's getting close to this 7 break, which is a neckline break, I would say. But blew right through the gap. Sure did. And now approaching that sort of flat top. So if you got an entry anywhere out this trend line, you are feeling really good about this trade. APLD, Hal, shout out to H&H Trader. If you haven't seen his channel, he focuses on those more small cap day trades. He has a strategy that he has built-in rules that he's following, and he's looking for the A+ setup. And he's gonna find you the low float, high volume movers that can be very volatile, and you can, if you get the right entries, you can really take advantage of some of those plays. So go check out his channel. Me and him go back and forth in Discord all the time. It's all love. It's all about pushing one another to be better, and you need people like that, regardless of what you're doing. Anything in life, you need people that are going to push you to be better. But enough of that talk. Let's keep an eye on this one though, because this one actually a pretty decent setup. It has the gap up. It tries to get down to the gap. It just puts some wicks into this flat top right here, and I would say this 10, 25, 1050 break was your true breakout over top of that wick. But I mean, you had a nice flat top that was building right here, which comes in at 10 flat. So if this pulls back in, we think that this name could present something. So let's just go ahead and throw in a word on that, and maybe we can think about trying that. And then I also had this SIEN, kind of sold all the ways down, gives you a move, and now we're just holding some levels in here. Probably some sort of trend line also right there. Let's take a look back at open. Still trying to hold 3. I don't think anything's going to be worthy there. Soundtown really doesn't look that great. And yeah, I think UCAR is more of the setup that I'm looking for. It showed me it can fill the gap. If we can set closes above that, I think it looks pretty good. And Smith and Weston reported earnings. I haven't gotten a chance to look at these earnings yet, but I mean, this was one of those descending channel stocks that, I thought was fair value, more of a dividend play that I like, where low payout ratio, but they're buying back shares, returning that value to shareholders, and it breaks this downtrend. It's just been trading sideways, kind of resting on the top of that previous move. So you get a nice move, it rejects the downtrend, it's able to push the downtrend, and now retesting those highs, looking for a nice move up to like 15s is reasonable, I would say. And why do I say 15s? Is because you're able to break through the bottoms of these for now, but that's right around a 13 level, and it's already rejected that. So pretty good look there. Oh, I forgot to do a couple things. But NRG, I would say your true breakout, if you really wanted to be patient, wait for this break of like a 36, because when it gives the move, it's going to attempt to run for this gap, and maybe it has to work out some levels at some of these lows first, but you can see it's kind of sitting at this area. So it's like, do you want to try it right here, and then you risk it coming all the ways back down in 34s, then you risk getting out of the position when, if you're patient, you can get this gap fill right here or around 34. So we do think that that is worth keeping an eye on. When BTI continuing to catch a bid, kind of following this channel, getting closer to that positive break. Talked about BTI quite a bit in my live streams at least. And then COSM, this 3 level. It's really been trying to hold this 3 level. So I think that is also one, if you're looking for a swing trade where, okay, you can give it underneath of the wicks, like a 285 stop. So the closer to 3, the better. 285 stop. You give it, 4% for a potential 25% move. It's really not that bad of a setup. It's trying to curl. It looks like a short. You don't have strength. You're breaking some sort of trend line uh, on the commodity, but this rolled up and started building some sort of U shape. I mean, if you were just looking at it as a retracement, you could easily get 370s, some sort of 702, which is 18%. So I mean, it's definitely potential. And UCAR is down here closer to these 8, so I mean, we might as well give it a try. And it's leaving some wicks, so I wasn't ready for that 808, but we are just gonna mark it into a few shares at current price, just in case. Now I don't want to get 13s. Let's see if this can come back in briefly. It probably won't. So like one little pullback to 10s, and we'll try a reload for a few shares. And it doesn't look like it's really gonna attempt to just yet. The bid is on 10s. Oh boy, headset's low. Oh, did I see a 2% med? Oh, we talked about med. I'm gonna be really upset if that never pulls back again. Very upset. Mara also catching a bid, kind of the same setup as this UCAR trade, almost, and it's fighting through these lows, or fighting at them. So like a retest of 12, which is this flat top. This looks pretty good. This, if this was some sort of retracement, rejecting the 618 temporarily, and we got the 702 right there as well. UCAR trying to fight. You guys see, I take these sort of setups all the time. 9 minutes left in this candle, passes the rules. Nice increased volume, but it is a little bit wicky. So keep in mind, buyers and sellers in this move, and this gap is showing that rejection from the gap. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this doot 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 all the ways in through all of that, and maybe like a 750. But here is 808, so let's just go ahead and market order for a few shares. And let's get an order out there. And let's see where that fill came in first, of course. Kind of screwed us on the fill. We got 13s. That's what you get for using market orders. But I do think that the reload was just justified, as we've had quite a few outs on the name. So just looking for, and let's go and get a little bit more on 805. So we're going to try 805s, and then we'll try 8s as well. And anything under 8, we're just looking for like 790s, and you know, if we can get 775s, even though that would be below, I think it's worth maybe trying it. But my out, probably give it the trend line. It's a deeper stop, so risking more, but that's why you trim the levels to the upside. Gives you a little bit more comfort, and at the downside. SQ wicking, kind of showing you, hey, we could be building some sort of channel to the downside, but we do have these wicks buying it up, so this could be one that breaks it quick. See if there's any big difference movers on our watch list. This has almost a mil volume already. AHI gave a move, sold off, gave a move, sold off. What's to say this isn't going to trade off back down to the gap? But we have some levels around 1, so I mean that could end up being something, but just a little sloppy. A little bit sloppy still. And Mara, you can see this is kind of the bull flag that's setting up. You got the increased volume move through the flat top, and you're wicking towards that flat top. You got some levels in around 11. Low of the day yesterday was 11.14. Holding this 12 for now. But right near this breakout, you can see the rejection of that 618 really coming in, and those previous lows. Is it going to give you a move higher? We'll keep that one on watching. UCAR, just like that. Did we get any of those other fills? We had 05s and 8s. We got neither of them. Not what you guys wanted to hear, I'm sure. Not what you guys wanted to hear. You guys wanted to hear me say, yo, I got the fill. But we didn't. It is what it is. And candle now turning green, so let's just go ahead and take a piece off. Might as well, while we got this indecision. but bid stacked on 25s. Let's take advantage of this while it's there. And ring in the register, see where the print came in at. It gave us 25s. So I mean we're alright. We seen that bid was stacked there, and we knew it was all right. And let's just go on the ask at 35s. Might as well, in case this does want to come back in, and some stops trigger. And there's 35, so let's go ahead and get the order off quickly. And let's see if we can get that fill. Because these 35 is the original gap. No fill on that 35 yet. So we might have been just a wee bit late at that order. But, all in all, we still think that it can give us a fill. This NRG, red engulfing into the middle of the move, and you can see this kind of always scares me a little bit from taking this move down. It does have decreased volume, but this wick in the middle of this red candle does scare me a little bit. And I'm not just, and obviously looking, I get to cheat a little bit. I get to see what the next candle looks like. But if I was looking at it and it looked just like this, I would say, ooh, someone's selling in the middle of that red candle, or are they shorting? Which we're wicking into this previous high, and we're currently a little bit below this previous high now, where this could be a red engulfing retest and get some sort of five-way structure. And we are out of Soundhound. Could have sold more yesterday. We had the channel identified. The reload didn't work for us today. You know, it is what it is. This still could catch a bid. We got stopped out kind of at this support range, which is where we bought it yesterday. So I mean, I risk, if I use my stop down to 58, I risk it, you know, wicking through that and being wrong, and then end up being right. Or it's just tough. Now that it was off this trend line, there wasn't really anything that we were gonna give it too much. We tried putting a stop in, and it looks like this open is going to also stop us out. So a couple losers from yesterday finishing off. Let's take a look at AI. It looks like a short, it looks like a continuation to the downside. And UCAR is coming back in. No, not quite yet. It was sitting at 18s right there. Let's see if we can get this 35 fill, and then if it comes back in the 8, then we feel really good. Bid tried the stack on 30s temporarily. A little bit of a mouthful. Mara leaving this wick, 2 minutes left. It does have increased volume, but you can see a lot more selling, even though it's green from right here. So if it can hold 12s, maybe this next candle can turn green and it's a washout top. Washout top, shorts get in, longs get a little scared, and then we wash that top out, and anyone short is now out of the money. And that's where you get a nice green candle, but then how does it act up near these tops, which is the 702. 702 is deadly. UCAR, looks like we got the fill. We got the 35 fill, so ring the register, and UCAR may be trying to give us the break that we have been waiting for. Man, I wish we got those fills down at, we could have just market ordered in, as it was, we said it was close to 8. Anything close to 8 is good. APLD, I do like this setup. This is a pretty good setup. I like this one that you found, Hal. An NRG coming on in. See, I did not like this candle right here. When I see this candle come in, I've traded like, oh, it's a bull flag, even though we only got one candle right here. So this is the pull. We're looking for 3 candle moves back in. And when you try this entry in the middle of this green candle, if you don't get that break, if it ever gets below that wick on that first candle, sometimes it's just, you get that chain reaction to the downside where, you know, does this have to come back down to the gap? Is there some sort of ascending channel trying to be built? we tried to break through it and just weren't able to. So UCAR didn't give us the full break we were looking for, but we do like this play. Let's see what type of movement we can find on the watch list and see what type of red to greens we got. It's almost at a mil volume right here. This is one we called out yesterday. Where did we call this one out yesterday? It had to have been like this candle breaking over this neckline. We identified the red to green. We've seen it gaps down, fills the gap, full green gold candle. We said, hey, you know, there could be something there at a 1950 break. Look where we come down to, 1950 twice, and now taking out the highs at a 20 flat. And we marked 2050. Why'd we mark that? Probably a previous low or some sort of gap fill. Oh, that's the all-time high price. So, yeah, I mean, if this wants to get a all-time high break, that could give you something. Let's go back to UCAR. Keep our eyes on this one. But we do like this setup that it has. Soundhound looks like it wicked this out. That's alright. I mean, looking at the daily, you know, it would have been easy for me to say, hey, let's give it on in. But I'd say that not that trend line's gone. Let's see if it can come into like 50s. Maybe even retest the flat top. APLD, we do like this trade. You can see it starting to build that sort of U shape. Never quite alerted me yet. So let's 12 minutes left on that candle. Let's give it a little bit more time. You can see looks like it does want to start pushing down a little bit. So if this can push down to like 75, let's raise this alert up to like 90s. And that should trigger us. Now UCAR also coming back in. If this comes back down into the wick lows here is 805. So we're on the bid at 805s. We could also try an 808. Or the wick low over here is 17s. But same story, guys. Continuing to not be able to close above this gap. It has some wicks through it, but it cannot set a close above that gap. So that needs to be at least said that, I mean, play your own book. Trade your own book, wise man once said. Mr. Kramer, how we doing, brother? We're doing alright. We got stopped out of a couple trades from yesterday. Soundhound and Open was one, and we tried reloading both of them off of trend lines, and none of them worked. But UCAR, we did take a trade. We got quite a few fills on the name. While it's kind of in this sideways chop action, we can go over the UCAR transactions for today because we've been ringing the register on it. Now keep in mind my original entry on this, I don't even remember where we got in on UCAR. Where did we get in on UCAR? We played it over here somewhere and we held a piece of it into the close. We got the gap down. We could have easily stopped out. We said, okay, but we got a small position left. Let's hold it. And we put the stop at 685 with the shares we had left. We've seen it holding, and when it got back over this is what put it on the map for me. My first fill on the name today was a 793. Then we trimmed at 22s. And then we bought that trim back at 91s. And then we got a 782 fill. And we were all 782 came in on this candle, and we were also on the bid at 78s. Just playing this sort of top as it was holding above that. We trimmed from 728 at 826, 830, 835, 852. We reloaded at 807. No, it wasn't even in that candle. It was still in this same candle right here. So this pushed all the ways up and came all the ways back in the sevens. So then we reloaded sevens and we trimmed. My bad, headset went out. So then we trimmed 35s, 41s, 35s, stop, 850, 855, and then we reloaded at 13s on this candle, and we were trying to get as close to 8 as we could. And now from that 813, we have two fills to the upside, 825 and 835, and we're on the bid still at 802 and 805. So that's my UCAR for today. Yes, it's nice to talk about the winners, but keep in mind, nobody's perfect. I'm going to get stopped out of this open trade. We gave it to the bottom of this wick at 95s. We almost got stopped out. Soundhound, we did get stopped out at 70s, and now we're sitting at 75s holding. So we put the stop underneath. We said 70s looked reasonable, but we said there was support. We have this sort of more of a trend line that can hold, but we had this marked and said, gosh darn it, freaking breaking that trend line. And probably getting wicked out near the bottom. Playing with trend lines is tough sometimes. And then we got this APLD, which Hal found, and we said, nice increased volume off the open. It gaps up, tries to fill the gap. It can't. You get the washout top, breaking for a new high. And now we were looking for a pullback, and we had this alert originally around this 1080. Well, now it wicked into that, and or wicked towards that. Never triggered it. Now we just increase that alert a little bit. If this wanted to be some sort of continuation, your breakout's probably going to be 1150 break. So this trade sideways a little bit, and this 11s to 1075s can hold. We think that there's going to be a trade. And UCAR, the big thing with UCAR is that we got this gap right here that continues to reject. So if we can pick up shares off of 8 and eventually we break through that, that's where we're looking for that continuation. The daily chart really shows it right here, where if this is the pole, yeah, one consolidation candle, and now we did wick through that. Here's that 838 gap, or yeah, 838 gap. So if we can break through that and close, I think it's possible we see a break of 925, where if that's a retracement, 925 is that first retracement breakout. Let's see how we act up near 10. We think that we can get there today. Very possible. Oh, nice. Do you have any stock to hold like for a week that could go up? Oh, man, if you'd asked me that last week, I would have said maybe this MetaFast trade, and just because it's gone up like this, obviously, but this is a company that has been buying back a ton of shares. You have a nice descending channel, but I don't even have this, so keep that in mind. But we were looking for these 75 gaps right here, and we were trying to be, we were so patient. We were so patient. We also traded this over here and got stopped out of something right around there we were trying to mark. And we've never really traded it since, and we thought we missed out on something here, but then it gave up, and so here's your negative break. We've been waiting for a positive break on this name for some time. You can see all this chop action, and we knew down here if we could get it, maybe think about it. But in terms of it's just that move right there has been a lot already. If you're looking for like the next week, I think this NRG play could be something. I think you have the news catalyst on this one, but you get the gap up, and then you also have another gap up. So if you wanted to try this sort of flat top right here, wick, 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 and we wicked into it yesterday, that could be a reasonable swing. And you can see we had this name on watch all day yesterday, and we never tried it where we said we wanted it. But you could have some sort of ascending channel build. It tries breaking over it temporarily, but that when you're talking about news with buybacks, that's also worthy of keeping on watch. One that you could try a swing on, not a lot of volume, but CAUSE M. this support at 3 is pretty legit. Boom, 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 boom. So the closer to 3, you could try it and give it underneath of these wicks, which that's about 12 pennies of risk if you get 3. Uh, um, uh, Another one is some of these tobacco plays. Now they're slower moving, but this BTI is getting close to a positive break. You got a dividend that you can play, so get in before the dividend, and maybe you can get a run up to the gap fill. So a little bit late, but I mean, you know me, Kramer. I've been talking about this BTI for some time. I think in terms of valuation, I think this is one that you just hold personally, not financial advice. Do not take that as financial advice. But slower mover, I don't know. It's tough to be put on the spot with something that for just a week, because a week something can change in the matter of a couple seconds. Like I'm gonna go look back at this UCAR. Like this UCAR trade could change in the matter of a couple seconds, and we're trading back down at 750. So I mean it's just trading for a week is something very tough, and 807s are here. So let's go ahead and try this, and let's see if we can get a hold of 8. Not the best looking candle, especially when we got that gap there. But we might as well try and close to 8 again. So let's buy that reload back. And we are in. I don't know where the fill came in at, but let's go take a look. And 805s did give us a fill there. So we got the 805s, and we are on that bid at 802 as well. I don't like that it's putting a red engulfing through this, but let's see if these 8s can hold. We have 3 minutes left on this candle. This SIEN, we were looking at this neckline early in the day, and it would have worked out for us. APLN, nice U-shaped build right there. So now if this did come back into like 11s, man, this is one that we're probably going to miss out on, unfortunately. We're getting the light volume, so wicking into that level now. Briefly. Nothing out of the woods yet. Nothing out of the woods yet. But looking at BTI, how it's kind of moved up decently, you could play a competitor in Alteria Group, which I think you have some good support. You also have a long-term trend line that could be a channel. So playing close to this channel, I think you're all right. Oops. Bank of America came on in. You could play this gap on Bank of America. You also have a trend line right there. Right at the gap fill. I didn't even know it was there. Bank of America, actually a pretty good look. On a 15-minute chart, it's not going to have strength. But you can see the buyers coming in near that trend line. If you're looking at a swing trade, I'd say reasonable. You give it the trend line or even give it these lows right here. Give it about $1 risk. Yeah, but I'm long in the name, so I mean it's hard for me to be unbiased. What about AMC? Kramer, you know what I'm gonna say about AMC. You know what I say? I think that someone wants to get this name down to $1 in the dollar range. And why do I say that? Is because you have, well, let's start with the neckline. Let's start with the neckline. I think this is a flat bottom break setting up. Here's your flat bottom that's trying to hold. And when that gives up, boom, you're going to see a nice red engulfing candle down the 3 neckline. But I think somebody actually wants this name in the $1. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that gap fill one day. You got the support. This is the support I think that you're going to want to play with AMC. My opinion, of course. But you know what I'm going to say about AMC. I'm okay buying it at a higher price. Not a perfectly set channel by any means, but it is in a descending channel that it cannot break. And building the flat bottom, there's your catalyst for a large move down. Now that channel is not set perfectly. You have trading days that happen above it. I don't know. I don't know. I would rather just wait, and I'm okay trading it at like a 640 if it catches a bid. And why? Another reason why I say is because look at your strength over here, way in that oversold, and a crack of support on your commodity index as well. I mean, you could say that, tries the hold, we're over here. See, even over here, you're gonna have multiple days right here. So we're at the lows of this commodity right here, and we trade sideways for 2 weeks before it even gives you something. So right now you're getting a gap down testing that. You do have a gap that got filled yesterday, it looks like, not quite. So if you were looking for like a scalp trade, you could put an order off of 405 and maybe get a move into like 425s and respect that. But that's if you're looking to punch and try and swing trade this, I think you're in the middle of either something that could go horrible or something that could go good. And even if it goes good, you're going to have to fight through those lows, which also meets in at a gap. So can it fill that gap and then trade back down, and maybe there's a level that you can say, okay, hey, there's some sort of trend line here that we could try, and then go from there. But looking at it, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't want to give you. Oh, UCAR. My bad. Let's go back over to this UCAR. And we got a few fills on the name, and it's starting to go. Hold up. Let's start ringing the register on this one. Hold on. Let's get a little bit more of a sell on this name. And there's 40s coming in. Let's get this market order off and get a trim off as fast as possible. And yes, sir, we get the trim. Let's see where the fill comes in at. 836s. 836s. Oh, and we did get an 802 fill. Hold on. We got the 805 and the 802 filled. I didn't even see 802 filled. But then we just got 36s printed. So if this comes back in the 8s, I mean we can keep ringing the register and keep trying to play this 8 level as long as it wants to trade sideways. Let's go on the tape at the wick high. This candle goes up to 40s. So let's go on the tape up at 40s. And let's stop a few shares under 24. Let's put a stop in at 820s. Just on a small trim. Just a small trim there. UCAR, now let's go put that order in for 40s in case that wants to give us a fill. And just wick through 840s. I mean, if you got any other tickers, I'm gonna try and be as unbiased as I possibly can. But I will tell you how I think I see it, and that doesn't mean that I'm gonna be right either. And I'm just one single guy. I'm just a single guy, and it is very hard to be perfect, especially in the short term. I took a pretty good hit on what was that name yesterday that we frickin' VCIG, and just the matter of just a small of an entry where you enter at plays a big part in how you end up playing the position. I mean, short-term trading is not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. This SIEN looking pretty good. A nice sideways consolidation pattern now trying to break out. And what's big about this wick, you see it filled that gap, and this is where we get the sideways chop. And now we're taking out those highs. Anybody short off that gap saying, hey, I can get that price deep into Now that I'm looking more at it, look at that gap fill right there. Look at that fill. Oh no, it just barely didn't get down to that gap. But I mean, if you were playing it, that's right at the 175. It gets to as low as 177s. Man, UCAR, did I get a 40 print there? Looks like a nice green candle coming on in. Oh boy, my headset's low. But looking at strength, I got another one for you here, Kramer, if you're still here. I'd say this Intel trade, if you don't have a swing position, I think that this is a pretty strong chart. And it's rejecting these levels, but it's holding these tops right here. And you also have a sneaky gap that you can play. So, I mean, let's say you buy some bad shares and it starts going in against you. You can maybe average in, which kind of meets in near the bodies of this candle. It's tough because then you're telling yourself if it comes to the bottom end of the channel here. But I think this is a pretty solid setup, and I think it's a company that's reasonable to punch long on as well. AHI, let's go take a look over at this one. Reasonable setup to say, hey, I think we can make a run for the gap. Got the ascending channel. Might need the trade chop for a little bit, but if it broke through that, that's where you'd see that wick come in and see the price right back in. So UCAR, I don't know if it printed me on 40s or not. Let's go take a look at that. But I did just get stopped out on my shares. Just a trim, easy guys. But I don't like that wick. I do not like that wick, and this is what I was talking about. Now I get put in the scenario of how do I want to play this. Let's go ahead and get a small order to buy some back and see if we can get this candle to turn green. Let's see how the ask is a little bit spready. A little bit spready. So I don't want to market order in. Let's go ahead and put an order in off 805s. This APLD looks like a pretty good trade, honestly. The volume hasn't really picked up yet. 7 minutes left in this candle. If this pulls back into 11s, we want to get notified. So let's move that alert up just a little bit. This looks like one that's just going to be a sideways chopper until it gives you sort of a flat top break, but it's going to be a tight channel. It's going to be something like that, I think. Maybe, just maybe. Gonna be something like that where, you know, it's gonna fight, reject, and then give you a break. But does it reject, hold the tops, and maybe give you a breakout over top. But we want to see this come back in so that we have a chance to get the entry. If you're looking for another swing trade, Kramer, I don't know if you're still there. Maybe you can say something in the chat if you're still there. But this Hibbett Sports, I would say this is a pretty fundamentally sound company, one that you can maybe punch or build some longs. But I would say you probably have some sort of ascending channel build right there. But I think you can wait for this neckline. If you can get this neckline trade off a 30 flat, this is where I want it. So the closer to 30 you can get, and weak name, so strength isn't quite there, but the closer to 30 you get on that name, you're buying a pretty fundamentally sound company. The only problem that there is with it is that it's in that retail space, and that retail space it can be a little bit tricky because lo and behold, there is a lot of AI talks, a lot of different ways that this economy is transforming. And if somebody swoops on in and shows a better way to manage retail, and some of these retailers could be hemorrhaging for quite some time until they figure out an alternative. So keep that in mind. my opinion, of course. I have no clue what retail holds for the future, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be companies that you can't take advantage of course. So if I go over and look up stock analysis, I'm going to show, we'll just do a small breakdown to Hibbett. Um, Financials. So one, still growing. Here's your first quarter. No, that's probably Q4. First quarter still growing, but I think they cut guidance in that quarter, which is catalyst for it. But look at these shares. Look at these shares outstanding year after year since 2014. They bought back almost half of the company. And in the last year, they bought back 14% of their shares outstanding. Solid margins for a retail company, operating around 10% profit margins. They are decreasing from those 2021 years. Now let's go see what those margins were looking like on. So they are decreasing margins, but operating profit margins reasonable. You'll look at the debt. Long-term liabilities 235 million, not many at all. Cash flow, looking at the cash flow. Now, this is a bad 2022, but still cash flow positive. If they can meet some middle ground right there, let's say 50 million, that covers their long-term debts in about 5 years. And it's a dividend company, so you should look at the dividend. Payout ratio is hilarious. That is a fantastic payout ratio. Uh, and you're getting a decent yield for a company that's putting more cash flow to buying back shares. You should be getting share appreciation, but the stock has not appreciated. But another part of this trade is if this is some sort of wave pattern, you get the move down, you get the retracement, it double tops into, you can see what this retracement is, a 618 give or take. And then you get this move down when it breaks the trend line. So it breaks the trend line, you have an ascending channel right here. Yeah, you see that ascending channel, you break that trend line, you get this wave 3 come in. You could just wait for a retest of these lows. So up to like 41, if you think that this right here means anything, that share appreciation 9%, it's reasonable. But if it gave you that move up into those previous lows, that is going to be the catalyst for the 5-wave structure coming on into that neckline. So that's what I'm waiting for. If I can get that neckline, I'm all for it. UCAR still sitting right above this 8, so we did get some good trims on the name. But we still think that we can get this break. I don't like the intraday gap up. It just shows the low liquidity in this little move right here, but that doesn't mean that the volume can't come back in. It's APLD. If this comes back into 11, I think we're gonna try it. But UCAR, trying to hold these 8s for now. There's 09, so we're probably gonna get this 05 fill. Now let's just go ahead and get an order off of 8 as well. We got orders at 05 and 08. They've been doing good for us, so why stray away from it? I also think XLE is at support. So if you wanted to also play a trend line there, respect 90s. Mara, look at that hold of 12 we were talking about. Testing this flat top. Never quite got down there, but holds 12s. And now we said once it can break through these lows, expect that green engulfing candle up to the top end of this range, which is your 702. Look at that. Just like that. Would have been easy prints that I didn't take advantage of, so don't feel bad. But, I mean, we called it out. Called it out. Just more focused on this UCAR right now. If this can give us a break higher. We have to open to the next candle. This candle closed green on a little bit of increased volume, but more selling than buying. You can see that wick. More selling than buying for sure. Is this going to be able to hold right here? I don't know. Starting to give a little bit of a curl on APLD. So I think around this 1110 we can start. But I can go put that alert in right there. I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. I'd take that phone call. IIPR wicked into the level. Is that going to be building the flat top? Tough to say. But that was a nice hold. Low of that candle gets down to 08, so no fills. APLD, man, I really just want this channel to play out how I think it can. You know, it could be something like this, but we have nothing right here that would indicate that yet. Continuing its move to the downside. The more I keep looking at UCAR, the wick of this high goes up to 40s. We still had yet to break through that that downtrend, or not downtrend, the gap. The gap fill right there. I mean, this is all you need on your chart. You break through that gap and close above it, you're golden. You break lower. Trying to hold above this sort of channel break though. So that is a bull catalyst. BRFS call out from Kramer. Let's go take a look. BRFS. I do got to keep that UCAR on watch for break 8. I do like this setup. Okay, I am impressed, Kramer. You have a way of finding some of these setups too. Same story though. Right at this 2, you had this gap. Let's look at the daily here. Looks like maybe a bull flag continuation. Understand where your longs got in. So your longs got in on this bull flag consolidation flat top. 1, 2 candles, you get the gap up, can't fill the gap, and now you wick through it, you gap up, you get the gap fill buyers off the flat top. That is the big picture and understanding that's where your longs got in. So I'm already telling myself, I'm not really thinking swing trade on this. It'd be more like, okay, trim some levels, trim some levels, trim some levels. Okay, we can hold this small piece into the close. To the upside, I'd say, it looks like that gap, you get the gap down, it filled that gap. So I would still maybe respect that to 208. I would respect that 230 gap with the lows. And you could say that this low right here gets the high wicks. So this, just like that, I would say is mapped out everything I'd want to be watching. Maybe right there, which is only a 204. But I do like the setup that it has. Go see what the 15-minute looks like again. So you can see buyers off of some levels. Here's your previous highs, a 199. So I guess it gets into 199s. It's not really a super fast mover, but if you're looking for a continuation, I'm sure you have some sort of uptrend. You sure do. So the closer you can buy this uptrend, the better it looks. So it might need to pull back in, trade sideways, and then meet it around this 195. And that is where we're looking for a little bit more of a move. You can see the gap on the chart at 203s. So just because it filled this gap, you still have a gap that you're going to have to worry about right there. And UCAR starting to turn green. Hold on. My bad. We got to keep an eye on this UCAR trade. And did we get that? Did we get those 5 fills? I don't think we did. I can't even believe we didn't get those fills right there. We didn't. We didn't. Okay, so it's not reloaded. We've already respected this level with the stop trim. APLD really looks like it wants to start curling over. So how does this act near this support? We're just going to mark that. And that comes in at 1103. I'm going to go refill my coffee. I'm going to come back and UCAR is going to be breaking out hopefully. I will say it is, if it closes where it's at, is below the wicks and wicking into the bodies. I'll be right back. And we're back. And the candle's at 22s. Okay, I can live with that. I think I can live with that. As I say something and start rejecting it. That's alright. Maybe this needs a trade. We think that these 8s and these 805s can fill. And just making sure we keep an eye on APLD as well. Because that red candle is starting to come in. All it would take is some volume, and for this channel to keep playing out where we can have easy trims up to the top wicks right here. So pull back in 3%. Doesn't sound like much. But we also think that this UCAR can get going. Can we get frisky here on UCAR? I think if it gets through 25s again, we could see this candle start to form. It might need to reject this mid 30s again, so we're going to respect that. And let's go ahead and get ready to take a piece off at 35s, because I think that'll give us a little bit more leeway to play with it. If it wants to come back in, that is. What I mean by come back in, maybe like we can respect the 810s. $29s. APLD, red candles coming in, looks bearish. Sell it on down. Go ahead and sell some shares. What we're looking for. APLD 1120, 1119. It's inching closer. Let's see what other movers we can find. Kazim catching a bid. A little bit. Oh, alright, volume there. Yeah, gap fills there at 68, so 4 pennies. No other red to greens. None that have any volume, at least. UCAR, did we get a tap right there? 835 high, it says. Let's go see if we got the fill wick high there. Oh, no fill. Come on. Come on. Oh, buckets. Holy cow. I like when I hear that noise. APLD. You know, someone may call me crazy. Oh, I'd say 1108. Let's try and get a starter on a APLD. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Ah, man. Man. I got a good feeling this one's going to be a good one for us. Trade your own book, fellas. Trade your own book. Kramer with a call of big. Let's go take a look at big real quick, and then we will keep UCAR and APLD on watch as well. Ooh, big. That's a nice bull flag setup. Here's your increased volume. Here's the Friday candle. Only one candle, so it would have been tough to tell. But retest of 8, sort of wicking down towards this sort of neckline break. Probably has some sort of trend line. Mark that trend line out with the channel. You know, has some room more to the upside. I got myself in trouble with one trying to do something like this yesterday, though. I'd say you probably had some sort of ascending channel right there. As soon as you break it, one consolidation candle retested of the bodies. Right there, you can see that retest of the bodies, orders coming in off 16s, and now getting a nice move on increased volume. Let's look at the daily chart for big, and you can see now this is more so what I'm looking for, Kramer. When I see this commodity treating like that, one, big players are here, so you don't know who's looking short. So I'd say your true break, if you can get over top of this wick, looks pretty good. Pullbacks into the previous highs, check, and now breaking through some levels, holding above 8. Pretty good look. But a lot of day left. Maybe we can get this, start building a wick, and let's just mark this top wick right there. Let's go back to that 15-minute chart. Yeah, that top wick right there is an 8. 810. UCAR. Wait, need to check? No, not yet. So just barely tap those 35s. But you can see the stair step on the 1 minute. Keep in mind that's a 1 minute. So there's a catalyst for this. This APLD, you can see it. Oh man. Why didn't we just why didn't we just try a little bit? Just a small starter position. And UCAR looks like we are going to get this 35 fills. Oh, the open of the next candle could ruin that. The open of that next candle just very well might have cut that chance. If this candle turns green, we're thinking breakout. We have yet put in a nice green candle, but we have yet to set a close above this gap. My 805 to 8 flat looks a little bit less likely now that this candle is continuing to move along. I'd want to see these levels hold, these wick lows. So let's just go and take those orders off. If it goes against us from here, we'll probably stops. It's tough to say. We can think about maybe getting an even lower price. Oh my gosh, I just canceled my 35 order. Hold on. Let's get that back out there. Oh my gosh, we're in a mess right now. Why do we not have 35s out yet? Why do we not have 35s out yet? Okay, we got the 35s out, and we got it. Yes. Whew, just in time. If that starts to wick now, we can breathe a little bit easier. So we got the 35s. Ring the register. Wicking into those levels now. APLD coming back in. The next candle, we're thinking 1110s. APLD, we're going to get our starter position built right here. Just a small order. And we got the order built now. Not built, but we got the order. Oh, we got the order. Now if UCAR does want to come back in, I'd say 15's the body of this candle right there, which is the open of the next candle. That comes in at a 811. So like 811 to 815, just marking this wick low right there. I do want to take a look back at that big trade though. That did coming back in, if you were looking to play aggressive, if that starts wicking into that in the middle of that green candle move, could be something there. APLD, and we did get a 10 fill here. Low of the candles at 08, so let's go off of 1105 and try this. Oh, come on now. Come on now, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, don't do that. MBot. Looking bullish as hell. Nice trend line. Breaking the neckline. Look at the daily on this. It's got a flat top maybe. Sure does. Around a 350. 365. 440. MBot. Never had the weakness to retrace back down to this gap. Here's your positive break, holding positive. Now getting that overbought areas. APLD, we are keeping that one on watch. And UCAR, keeping it on watch. Nice decreased volume. We had about 1.75 million on those first two candles. Ripley, what is it? My dog is gonna come and ruin the fun. Probably has to go outside. My dog is gonna ruin the fun. But keep in mind, we don't have enough information for this trend line. I just want to keep it there just in case. This is how we want to end up playing out. So I'd say risk to reward, not half bad, about 5%. UCAR giving us a little bit of a break here. Let's go on 46s. We should have been ready for this as we thought that it was getting ready to happen. We're going to lower the size that we're trimming on these. Now, if we can get this candle, we got 9 minutes left to close, and there's 46s, 46s, and we're seeing 50s, and the volume is really picking up here on UCAR. Let's go ahead and get another small piece off while we're above these 50s. Let's go on the ask. What's that wick high? Wick high 54s. 8. We'll go 855. Oh man, it's coming on back in. We can think about a reload. If this comes back into those 16s, we can think about it. I would say you have maybe a descending channel build that it could be trying to hold back underneath. But we are right around that breakout area. Ooh, that was close. So I don't have that 55 order back out there, but APLD starting to show a wick into that. Now this candle is actually turning green. So APLD and UCAR are the two that I'm liking the best. And then also I think it's worth keeping on watch that, you know, maybe something brewing here on this NASDAQ short. We like how that is set up. Go, oh boy. Oh, we said we wanted 10s. We originally said we wanted 10s. We said we wanted 10s. We started the position at 14s and we put the order in at 5s. Why didn't we just do it? You know what I'm saying, Kramer? It would completely change how the entirety of this trade is going to go. If we get 10s there and we're ringing the register already, if this pulls back into 10s again, we can freaking hammer this position. Oh, man, that sucks. That's alright. We still got this curl right here, so I don't think it's out of the woods yet. Sell the frowny face, I always said, until, you know, those frowny face get triggered out at 50s. So that one is going to be one that we keep on watch. And this UCAR, this one could be getting ready to break out. And it's still 6 minutes left in this candle. We are still, this is all you've needed on your chart right here. Gap fill. That's all you've needed. Literally all you've needed. We have yet to close above that gap. And APLD is continuing to turn into this nice green candle. If this gets up in the like mid 40s, we are going to have to kind of respect it. Ah, that is unfortunate. Man, we could have had some good size on that, but just a small entry position. And Coinbase is ripping too. Nice hold of the trend line to start off the day and actually ripping through some highs. A nice flat top. You can see the bull flag setup. Nice green volume. A little large on the volume to the red side, but you can see the wicks of buying coming on in. Coinbase with a nice little setup right there, and look at where that action came in off the gap. Boom, boom, now breaking higher. So that's been the story. That has been the story, is the gaps today. Story of today is the gaps. No question about it. Had to work out some kinks. Got the kinks worked out. and now they're taking out levels. So I mean, man, it sucks to be a day late. We tried Coinbase. We tried Coinbase off this trend line, and we got stopped out. And we said, hey, this can come down this trend line. We weren't watching it. We just weren't watching it. Plain and simple. Beautiful move. APLD still in decent candle come in. And UCAR, this is why we wanted to get those sells. And but working through that, so not surprised. It is pretty light volume. This SIEN. Who says you can't trade low volume stocks? We called this out at the neckline break as it was starting to break this neckline, and it has been on a tear. And you can see the candle, the gap fills. This is the day of the gap fills. Look at this gap that got filled. Boom, consolidation. Now you're taking out those highs. Ripley, you gotta go outside. All right, I'll let my dog outside. So Kramer, I hope you're still here. I need you to hold down the fort while I'm gone. Oh, the dog's gonna cost me money today. I can feel it. Oh, APLN or APLD coming back in the tens. Let's just go ahead and do it. Let's just go ahead and add some size to it. $11.07s. There we go. These are some of the orders we wanted anyway. See how? Oh, wait a minute. Let's go ahead and get a little frisky with it. Let's try some down here. Let's try some. Alright, let's see where our orders are coming in at here. Not the greatest orders, but it's something. And now we are in on APLN, APLD. UCAR looking good. Now if we start getting this up to these 40s, we can respect it a lot better. Look at that move, Kazim. Right around that support level. APLN up to 20s. Okay, now we can start taking some off. APLD. I keep saying APLN. Let's get some shares off the tape, and if it comes back into 11s, we feel really good. Ringing the register, guys. Ringing the register. We took off a little more size than we could have, but we had some good size in there. And let's APLD. Let's go in, take another piece off. We'll start shortening the size of the position as we continue the move. And ring the register again, and let's go APLD. Let's go off of 30s. And if it comes back in, we can reload now. So we got to order off 30s. If we come back into 11s, we're going to be looking to get that. I'll be back. Hold down this fort. If this goes red on me freaking fat, then I'm going to have to eat it for the time being. And here we're coming back in. I can't let the dog in yet. We got 21s and 26s on those fills. So not the greatest couple of fills, but we can reload part of it right here. Oh, so close. This is where this battle is going to take place at. Alright, we hit the reload. Now let's see what we can do. Let's try a little bit more. I have no clue if this level is going to be able to hold or not. But we like the catalyst for it. And let's see where those fills came in at. We got 9s and we got 4s. Need to see some buying coming in. I don't like it flirting with these levels right here. Kind of discredits how this is looking right here. And we could be getting some red engulfing. We're going to try one last order right here. And we're going to put the stop in. Give it 70s. Be back. Alright, how we holding? There's my mic on. My mic is on. Alright, we got a nice wick of buying in right here. Now it's going to be about, can we break this channel? This candle turns green, we're going to start trimming. UCAR still sitting at 830s. Still trying to follow that channel too, so that is a little scary. Bid stacked above 11 is pretty good for the most part right now. Took out 9s. Now there's one lot on 9s. Down to 11s. 11's holding for now. If 11's hold, we feel pretty good that if this turns green, we could be getting some sort of channel break. But holding support, that was key. So a nice wick of buying, holding it back above those 11s, and let's start getting pieces off. There's 20s. Yep, we got a piece off there. Let's go get another piece off APLD. We got another piece off there, ringing the register, APLD. And we're on the ask at 25s. If that gives us a candle up through 25s, we feel pretty good about it. And let's also put a stop in at like 11.14s if it'll let us. Bid stacked above it. Let's move that stop up to 18s. If that gives up 18s, comes back in, we will stop out for some shares. And we going to get 25s filled right here? We might get 25s filled right here. 18s probably just stopped us out of some shares. But we are ringing the register. We got 3 fills on this retrace right now, and holding a good piece of the position still. And UCAR looking over there, trying to peak above that channel for the time being. We would love to get that fill at 25s right there, and kind of respect that level. And then we can start with the flat tops. Let's go ahead and put another small trim stop off of 15s like we said we were going to do. That's just continue to secure the money that you have. And then we got it in. Oh, it looks like we're going to get stopped out maybe of a few shares there. Nope, we're still open. And there we just got stopped out of a few shares. So now if this comes back in to like, man, that's really going to look like a rejection. I don't know if I think we just kind of hold the position we got and let it ride. Let it ride. If this is going to break out, let's see if it can break out. So that and UCAR, we can go and update what we got. So let's go ahead and update this title. And we haven't traded NRG yet, but we still have it on watch. And SQQQ we haven't traded yet either. We have it on watch. APLD. And let's update that. And I see it's turned into a red candle now. So maybe these wicks like 95s we can try reloads. But we want to see this level hold. If it wants to break out, we'll take the breakout over the reload all day. UCAR still kind of just a sideways chop. APLD at 1109s. So really good fills on the names to the upside. We got 21s, 20s, 18s, and 14s. Now coming on back in, trying to hold. And we're on the ask at 25s. We never did get that 25. 1124 is the wick high. Coinbase continuing to rip higher off of that flat top break right there. APLD coming into 11 flats. 5 minutes left on this candle. Looks like a frowny face. Looks like it wants to continue following this descending channel. So we do got to be careful that this could give us a red engulfing through the level and end up building some sort of trend line down here. That could be an ascending channel. Maybe. I don't know if I'd put any regard into that for right now. Let's just see if this can break higher first. If this can show me a green candle start moving up through 30s, I'll feel pretty good. So we're just sitting right now. We're Kiva. We can take a look over at this one. Nice move out the open. APLD back into 11s. So if we wanted to, we could think about a reload, but we want to get it near these 90s and see if we can capitalize on maybe trimming up into 20s again. Trying to continue holding 11. We think it's possible that it can. I think if it gets over the wick high from the last candle, I think it's going to have a chance. But we got to see it first. UCAR still just a sideways chop. Has yet again failing to set a close above that gap. Does it fill this gap before it runs? It attempts to. And now we are starting to get a small run. I like the setup. I think there's a catalyst for 14 gap. 27% still. Let me take a look at WLDS. Maybe setting up a flat top for a potential move up to 81s. UCAR coming back in. This is where we could think about some reloads, but I think let's just hang tight on this. Let's go ahead and put an alert at 10s. We can think about an exit. Do we have anything up on UCAR? We have nothing up on UCAR. Wicking into that level for now, so you can see maybe a catalyst for some sort of ascending channel, maybe. Just maybe. Now I wouldn't be surprised to see some red engulfing come in and then continue the wick into some of these levels. So we are going to be ready. An 11-11 coming in. We got a minute 30 left in this candle. We still think this candle can turn green. But more buying than selling in that candle. So even with still light volume, this candle is starting to turn green. We got 1 minute left. Holding some levels. It's got to take out 9s and UCAR continuing to sit right around this range. And you know, why not? Let's go ahead and try and reload UCAR. No, we're gonna get out of UCAR. We can try it. We can try it. But that's a red engulfing through the level. We're hovering over the sell button. This flat top right here could be something. We're just gonna cut UCAR. It was a good trade. It was a good trade. But that red engulfing through that level, I just don't know. And looking at APLD, I think this is where our attention is gonna go. So UCAR could pull back in, but it's going to have a hard time getting back over 8, in my opinion. I would say just marking that channel a little bit better right there. Could have been ready for some stops, but we rang the register pretty good. On UCAR happens. We're just gonna flush it and focus our attention on APLD, and hopefully this doesn't do the same thing. I think this one's a little bit better look than UCAR is. But UCAR back up to 790s, so I mean we could have been a little bit more patient, and honestly right here at this 8 is where I'd want to be just selling out of the position. And we could have been a little bit patient and got that, but you never know when you get that red engulfing. If this would have came down in the 50s and I'm sitting there looking like an idiot. So let's focus on APLD. Don't get twisted, UCAR was a fun trade. We rattled home quite a few transactions on the name today. Could have been a little bit better in some places, but what do you do? There's only so much that you can do. APLD continuing to respect that level up at the top end. As long as this doesn't give us that red engulfing candle through 75s, my out's probably going to be 70s. I'll give it this wick low maybe. Yeah, I think UCAR is going to have a tough time fighting through that. It does have these previous highs, maybe some sort of trend line that I can fall to here, but I just don't know. APLD is going to be my main focus. And let's see if we can get some price appreciation here. Looking at the candle, I do think it's reasonable for this to pull back in to like 1014. And leaving that type of candle would not be a good look. But maybe it doesn't happen today. It wanted to. That's always the early indicator. Looking back, when you have a channel marked and it wicks hard back into that channel, and then it can't break through it. Yeah, the signs were there. The signs were there. It's a good teaching, good learning. 10 minutes left on this candle here. This price is holding 11s pretty well for now. That doesn't mean that it's going to continue holding it. You can see there is a catalyst where you could see some stops coming in at 80s. All this would take is for it to start building this curl. That is all it would take. 1150 break at its finest. See if we can find any movers. Boyles read the green. Share split. Nice bull flag setup there. Won the 20 split. Normally when you see a split, you know, it's a catalyst for it to come on back down. How many times did they share a split? And here's 20s. So let's go see if we can get these 25 fills. This is starting to ramp up. That's all it takes is start build a little bit of a U shape. And there's your catalyst for an 1150 break. If it can hold, of course. It's always if it can hold. We still weren't able to get 25s filled either. But honestly, if 25s fill, that is going to give us a nice push to the upside, I think. Mara, look at this rip on Mara. We called this out at the neckline break right here. Would have respected the 702. Came right back in. Now flirting with the highs. UCAR still leaving that wick into the middle of that red candle. It's something to be aware of. Still is failing to, excuse me. Is there some sort of wedge pattern? I don't know. I'm not a fan of really drawing wedge patterns because they always seem to turn into some sort of channel. So if this rejects and comes back on in, it's going to be tough trying this right here. Mbot's still holding 50s. APLD, there's 25s filled, and let's see if this can actually start breaking out. Are we on the tape at 35s as well? APLD, ringing the register. 25s did fill. I would say 35s. 36s, 35s look like this next area that we could be going to. So let's respect 35s. And keep the trims at a minimum. But it still is looking like this is going to be some sort of a channel right there. So keep that in mind. I wouldn't say this is out of the woods yet. And that's why we respected 25s right there. Farmer Sprouts, or Sprouts Farmers. This was a legit trend line that we were talking about. Nice double bottom off of it, actually. Getting close to that neckline break. Say these previous lows. APLD coming on back in. Now that we got that that last fill though, we can think about it. We can maybe try it. I don't know if we get this breakout or not though. We're going to try a smaller reload off of 1101 and see if that fills. And then we can maybe try 93s as well. But then we also got to be ready to cut the position, unfortunately, but we can always try and get it on the pop back up. If we want to hold it, if we hold in the 65s, we can try, but then we risk that sort of order coming in like that. So let's try these 95s and see if there's anything here. We're going to try it right here, and now we're going to get ready to cut the position if need be. Continuing to follow this descending channel. Looks like it is going to be the way that this goes. Still can hold down here though. I'm not giving up on it yet. Is this going to give up? It looks like it is. And there's sort of the red breakdown that we were worried on. Let's go 1071. Let's put the stop in. 1070. We'll give it 1070. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, really. But we've ranked some good profits on it. It's just too bad if it ends up stopping us out. That will be too bad. And it looks like it's just no buying off of this level. It looks like we are going to end up getting stopped out right here. So UCAR gave up the ghost on us. We got stopped out at 77s. Could have waited for the retest of 8. And APLD looks like it is going to end up being the same thing. As you can see, it just descending lower. Minute left on this candle. You know, maybe there is a chance for a retest up to like 11:10, but we're going to have to respect it. And there we are stopped out officially. That's tough. That's tough. It's a tough little setup. You know, we thought we had potential with it. Probably getting wicked out at the lows. I'm going to have to adjust something. I'm going to have to figure something out with these ascending channels like this, where I maybe stop right in here and try to just say, okay, we risk catching a bid and moving higher from there. But even if this pulls back in, I mean, I think that it looks like it's going to continue to the downside, follow that channel. But I don't know, maybe we'll take a lunch and see if we can catch something back on the last half of the day. It is a Friday, so maybe that's part of why the trading's a little different, but you know, what do? You can only do so much. Stopping out at the lows twice. Are they going to end up being good stops? I don't know. This looks like a bear flag. Maybe we try and find a more quality, less volatile name. But that is going to call it for the stream. I'm going to go take a lunch, and we'll regroup and maybe be back with another live stream later in the day. So appreciate anybody who tuned in or anybody that's still there, and we'll see you